Hello, everyone. We are back for another episode of the Strategy Academy Speaker Series. As you know, I'm inviting colleagues that are near and dear to my heart that I have worked with over the years in order to share their experiences with you within different business functions of an organization, right? Some advice on how to develop your board, advice on how to execute governance, how to develop partnerships, all of these wonderful pieces that make your organization successful. And so today I have Carol Gundersen, and I am so happy to bring her back actually because I lost the first interview that we did, but I really wanted to make sure that you all were able to hear what Carol has to say because she's got some great gems to drop for you. And so thank you, Carol, for coming back yet again.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's always a treat to be with you. Happy to be with you again.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Carol is with the Food Literacy Project, Executive Director of the Food Literacy Project. And I just want to give a little bit of history about the Food Literacy Project while Carol introduces herself to you all. And so the Food Literacy Project began in 2005 on Oxmoor Farm, which is actually located behind Oxmoor Country Club or in between Oxmoor Country Club and Interstate 64. If you have ever been to Louisville, Kentucky, it's kind of off in the cut, okay? And so the setting is a highly suburban neighborhood. So you drive through houses, and then all of a sudden there's this beautiful farm that appears right in front of you. And so the Field Day family farmer, which was Ivor Chotkowski at the time, who was cultivating the land, had recognized the need for farm-based food education, okay, that encouraged participants to touch, smell, taste, hear, and observe the plants and animals that were on the farm. And so he conducted a pilot education project in 2005 to test the idea of exposing young people to working models of urban agriculture through on-farm experiential education programs. And then in 2006, the Food Literacy Project was established as a 501c3 with Carol as its first executive director and the current executive director. So Carol has been with Food Literacy Project for quite some time. And the program was volunteer led. And so really and truly, we are going to be able to explore how the Food Literacy Project has evolved over time because they have truly grown as a fantastic organization that has a deep impact within Louisville, Kentucky under Carol's leadership. And so I want to make sure that we are able to explore all of those different facets of the organization. But I'm going to say a little bit about Carol because I know Carol will not say everything about herself. She has spent the last 20 years working to build a just and sustainable local food system as a community organizer, vegetable farmer, and environmental educator. And her work has been featured by local and national media outlets, Louisville Public Media, Bon Appetit Magazine, recognized by the Mayor's Healthy Hometown Movement, which is how we met, and then also the U.S. Conference of Mayors. The Food Literacy Project has been honored with the Congressional Hunger Award and the 2013 Award of Excellence from the Kentucky Association for Environmental Education. And so I want to introduce you all to Carol, if you want to say a few more words about yourself, especially how you came into relationship with Food Literacy Project.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it all started, I guess I was like a really picky eater as a kid. And it wasn't until I had the opportunity when I was in college to just have a little bit of exposure to the soil and the plants growing in the ground that I really started to think differently about food. I've always been a lover of food, but not all the foods. And so, my life was actually changed by the work of farming. And I'm just so thrilled that it's my job now to share that love of food and farming with my hometown through the work of the Food Literacy Project.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when we talk about the Food Literacy Project, we know the vision is a healthy and equitable community where people and places thrive. But that mission is youth transforming their communities through food, farming, and the land. And so, our overarching topic today is mission focused and how important it is to remain mission focused. And so the first question is, how do you define the term mission focused?
Sure. Well, I think of mission focus as really a mission is sort of like a lens through which you view all the things, right? So, and ours has changed. Like our actual mission statement has changed and evolved over the years as our work has matured and become more. I don't know. I can't think of a better word than sophisticated. Because it is in many ways about young people having an experience with growing and harvesting and tasting vegetables, but it's not just about getting kids to eat their vegetables, right? It's a little bit deeper and more systemic than that. And so our mission statement has evolved over the years to reflect that. But I think of mission focus as sort of the thing that anchors an organization, right? When, it's informed by community needs, which are articulated by partners and neighbors, and yet it's not the same thing as community needs. So whenever a new opportunity comes along or a new, demand for a program or service, mission focus is how an organization can kind of evaluate that need or opportunity and determine whether it's a fit or whether that's, whether it's the organization's right work to address that particular need.
So you got into this just a little bit. How has Food Literacy Project evolved, how it fulfills its mission over time? So we know all organizations have had to respond to COVID, and several organizations have responded to the events of 2020, which really spoke to the social unrest, okay, that we have had as a nation. But even before then, Food Literacy Project was evolving, like you said. And so,
Mhm.
how have those projects changed, but yet remained focused on youth and the land?
Yeah, it's interesting how many ways in which our work has changed and evolved, and also how many things are also the same and still true, all the way back to 2006. So I think, initially our work was primarily about farm-based education. So inviting young people to have an experience, a hands-on, touch the soil, grow a thing, harvest it, develop a recipe, have what for many, I think young people is like the first positive experience they've ever had with a vegetable. And over the years, that has evolved from working closely with school children during the school day to after school programs. Eventually, we were able to add a teen employment element, and that has really invited us to just go a little bit deeper with some of the issues around food in our community. So for example, and also we have expanded geographically from Oxmoor Farm to another site in the South End, which we recently were displaced from. So now we're at yet another urban farm site. And really at this point, kind of running a youth-led urban farm. So young people are doing the work of growing food and distributing it to their neighbors. So solving an immediate, like providing some real relief, right, for families who need fresh and healthful food and who many of whom face obstacles to that fresh and healthful food. And at the same time, while these young people are doing this work, they are able to ask and answer questions around, well, why was the fresh, healthful food not here in the first place? And that's a systemic issue, right? That's not, I've heard a lot recently this term, which I think the term food desert is becoming more known, but I've heard recently there's a case to be made that term is flawed, right? Because a desert is a natural occurring thing. And there's nothing natural about the absence of fresh and healthful food in every neighborhood and in the hands of every person, right? So that's a systemic issue. That's food apartheid. Like that's a problem that was created by humans. and can be dismantled by humans. And so as these young people are doing the work of farming, they're really exploring all of these issues and better understanding the systems that got us to this point. And so, of course, everything that happened in 2020 was a great opportunity for the young people we work with to connect their kind of hands in the dirt experience with a justice movement that was, very much related to the work they were doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, with the growth and the transition that FLP has experienced over time, what has been the board support and involvement in making sure this organization remains a pillar within the community?
Yeah, the board is just an essential component to any success the organization has had. Um, they are a group of, I think there are about 12 people on our board now. They kind of represent many of the issues we address. So, farmer, educator, soil scientist, public health professional, like these are all the kind of lenses that they bring, a few of the lenses that they bring. And they are, kind of always up here at the 30,000 foot level, viewing the context in which we work. I heard someone say recently that the staff climbs the walls and the board determines which walls to climb, right? So, like, our staff team is carrying out the work, and the board is really guiding it from a high level.
So, what about staff? Has staff evolved over time to meet the needs of the work as well?
Yes, definitely. I mean, it's grown just literally in terms of number of people. And also who our staff is has evolved a great deal. Our work has kind of evolved and changed and grown up over time. So the skills and identities and lived experiences that are needed to carry out the work have evolved as well.
So, what is the most important lesson you have learned at your time as executive director over FLP?
Oh my gosh, just one?
You can share several. You can share several.
Well, as long as we're talking about mission focus, then I'll just say that's, one of them has certainly been just lean in, stay true to the mission and trust that it will get you where you need to go. That was such a essential tool in our toolbox as we kind of triaged our programs at the beginning of COVID and tried to figure out like how to show up for our community in this moment, and really just staring at our mission statement was key to being able to identify what are the core functions that we can provide in this moment to our community to kind of stay in our lane, right? Because the needs were so many in terms of, all the things, and it was easy to be pulled in a bunch of directions.
Mm-hmm. Right, because we, as across the nation experience school closings, right? And so what were kids going to eat in the meantime? What was that relationship that they would have with food distribution, with stores? And knowing food literacy project, you still farm, right? There's still farming going on. It's urban agriculture, but it's farming. Have you all been approached with larger opportunities where they may not have fit your capacity or even may not have fit the mission?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, we've had to say no to some things. I think that's another important lesson, is knowing when to say no, because there is so much need and opportunity out there. And, it's easy to just kind of go with that. But I think it's really also wise and frankly more impactful to be, to really discern, like, what is our right work in this moment? Is there another agency that would be better suited to meet that need? Not to say the need isn't real, but just who's the right, organization to meet it. And another thing I thought of just listening to you talk is an asset-based lens, I think, has really been helpful to us over the years, and especially through COVID. Just thinking about, in fact, I remember very clearly somebody on our team leading we had an impromptu staff meeting on Thursday, March 12th of 2020, right before we knew that something was about to happen, and we gathered together and said, okay, let's make a plan here. And we started with assets. We started with what do we literally have at our disposal for our community in this moment? And we just put it on the whiteboard. We have seeds. We know how to grow things. We have access to open space where food can be grown. And we just started there. So I think that has also been a trusted, a very helpful strategy over the years.
So in addition to what you do, looking at that whiteboard and saying, okay, this is what we do, this is the lane we're in, what are the values that guided your decisions on whether or not you say yes or no in certain moments? The values that FLP holds.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you ask, because we just dusted them off for the first time in a while to see, we have our values statement kind of in our strategic plan, and one of them is groundedness and rootedness, which I think is, again, speaking of mission focus, like just stay there, just root yourself in your mission, right? Equity and justice is a value. Learning by discovery is a value, and that's true for the young people in our programs, and it's true for all of us, right? Like we're always, I've been here 17 years. I'm still doing things for the first time and figuring it out. So yeah, it was fun just recently to look at our values and kind of talk through as a team, are they still right? How are they showing up for us? And yeah, it's a good anchor and kind of reference point.
So what is your advice to nonprofit leaders? What advice do you have to share?
I think, aside from the things we've already talked about, I would say ask for help. I think if I've done anything well over the years, it's like surrounding myself with people that know things that I don't know, that can do things that I can't do, that know people or whatever that I don't know. That has been really, really important. Because yeah, you don't know what you don't know. No one person has all the answers. And so yeah, I think developing the team, and when I say that, I mean the literal staff team and the board team, but also the broader kind of stakeholder group around the organization that really can help
Absolutely.
in all kinds of ways.
Absolutely. Well, Carol, thank you so much. And I want to challenge everyone who is tuning in that if you would like a program that is similar to FLP in your city, in your town, even at your school, reach out to FLP, okay? Reach out to Food Literacy Project to be able to get some guidance on how to start something like that. I am so sure that the staff would be more than happy to share some tools with you that you can use in order to decrease food apartheid where you are, but also being able to reach out to Carol if there are any questions you have or any moments that you need any type of advice on how to maintain your organization through transition, through growth, while maintaining mission focus. And so thank you so much, Carol, for being with me today and for sharing your experiences.
You're so welcome. It was my pleasure.
Absolutely. And so I don't want to leave here without reminding everyone about the Strategy Academy. So with this Strategy Academy series, we are highlighting all of the different business functions that we cover within the Strategy Academy as you think about your 3-year plan for your organization. If you need more information, follow that QR code that's on the screen. Go ahead and take a picture of that so you can learn more about who the Strategy Academy is for, what we cover, everything that you will get out of that series that I have available. And so join us next time. Thank you all for tuning in this time, and we'll see you again.